In life, even the smallest problems can feel overwhelming. Yet some people face challenges with calm and resilience. They don't crumble under pressure. Instead, they let their hearts grow wide enough to carry their pain without breaking. Today's story is about a young man named Ethan who discovered a simple but powerful truth: the size of our heart shapes how we experience life. Listen carefully, because this story is not just to hear it to reflect upon. Ethan was a 29-year-old man living in a quiet town. Although he had a comfortable home and supportive family, he often felt anxious and weighed down by life's pressures. His monthly bills were higher than expected, his work was uncertain, and he constantly worried about his future. One late afternoon, feeling restless, he wandered into a small, cozy cafe at the edge of town. He chose a quiet corner and held a warm cup of tea, letting his thoughts drift. At the next table, a group of older men were speaking softly. Ethan wasn't trying to listen, yet their conversation reached him. "Have you met the wise man behind the hills?" one said. "He isn't famous, but his words can truly calm a troubled heart. My cousin visited him, and his life changed completely." Another added, "Even the heaviest troubles feel lighter after meeting him." Ethan's curiosity sparked. He thought, if someone else found peace through this man, maybe I can too. That evening, he decided to walk toward the hills, following the winding path to the wise man's house. After a long walk along narrow trails lined with trees and wildflowers, Ethan reached a modest house tucked quietly behind the hills. He knocked softly, and a kind, elderly man with silver hair and warm eyes appeared. Ethan introduced himself, his voice slightly trembling. "Sir," Ethan said, "I have so many problems. I feel sadness constantly, and I don't know how to be happy. Can you guide me?" The wise man listened carefully, without speaking. Then, without explanation, he quietly walked away, leaving Ethan confused. Ethan waited patiently, unsure what to do next. After a few minutes, the man returned, holding a glass of water and a small bowl filled with salt. He handed them to Ethan and said, "Take a handful of salt and pour it into the water. Drink it." Though uncertain, Ethan followed the instructions. The water was bitter, and he grimaced. "It tastes awful," he admitted. "I can only taste the salt." The wise man smiled gently. "Now, take another handful of salt and come with me." Together, they walked to a nearby lake. Ethan watched as the man tossed the salt into the vast water. Then he said, "Now take a sip of the lake water." Ethan dipped his hands into the cool lake and drank. He was surprised. The water tasted fresh and clear, with no trace of salt. The wise man placed a hand on Ethan's shoulder. "Do you see, Ethan? Pain in life is like salt. Its intensity doesn't change, but how much we feel depends on the size of our heart. If your heart is like a small glass, even a little pain makes life bitter. But if your heart is like a vast lake, even great pain won't overwhelm you." Ethan reflected silently. The man continued, "Everyone faces difficulties. No one is exempt. Just as we cannot truly appreciate happiness without sadness, we cannot grow without facing problems. Yet, if you focus only on your suffering, even small challenges will feel unbearable." The lesson sank in. Ethan realized he had been carrying his worries in a small, cramped heart, allowing them to dominate his thoughts and emotions. Over the following weeks, Ethan began practicing patience and perspective. When setbacks appeared, unexpected bills, workplace stress, or minor conflicts, he reminded himself of the lake and the salt. Slowly, he noticed a change. Small frustrations no longer consumed him. Even when life pressed hard, he could face it calmly, without panic or fear. He began helping others in his town, sharing his insights, and encouraging people to expand their hearts rather than shrink in fear. Ethan discovered that true strength is not in avoiding pain, but in learning to carry it with grace and understanding. One evening, sitting by the lake where he had learned the lesson, Ethan whispered to himself, "A small glass feels bitter, but a lake is endless." The phrase became a personal mantra. Whenever life felt overwhelming, the image of the expansive lake reminded him that challenges are temporary and that his heart could be large enough to hold them without breaking. Take a moment now. Close your eyes and picture a small glass of water. Imagine dropping a pinch of salt into it. The water turns bitter. Now, picture a vast, calm lake. Pour the same pinch of salt into the lake. Notice how the water barely changes. Your heart is like that lake. With patience and perspective, even the hardest problems can be faced with calm. Practice this daily. Let your heart grow wider, stronger, and more peaceful. Remember, grow your heart, and life feels lighter. Repeat it whenever life feels heavy. Let this simple truth guide you. Problems are inevitable, but suffering is optional. Share this story with someone who needs it. Let your heart become a lake, not a glass. If this touched you, like, share, or subscribe, and carry this message forward. Peace begins in the size of your heart.